You know, it's funny that I always thought it took two people to conduct an interview. This writer says she wants to get an authentic piece of my life in here without the interference or pressure from another presence in the room. Wants me to be frank and uncensored. Bullshit. She's just afraid she'll catch this goddamn disease. She'll probably wear rubber gloves when she listens to her tapes of people like us, pouring our guts out onto a thin strip of magnetic tape. She'll probably wear rubber gloves, and I can see her right now, checking under her fingernails. Anyway, back to my guts on Memorex. For your article, or your book, or your Pulitzer, or whatever the hell you're going to do with this alleged interview. There, alleged. That's a word journalists like. So how do we do this? I know, it can be like Alcoholics Anonymous. Hello, my name is Thomas Bede. Whoops, I forgot. No last names. Anyway. Hello, my name is Tom. And I am dying. Now what? Oh, she says she wants to limit it to one topic. No nagging litany of questions, she says. I want an authentic piece of your living with this disease. Honey, there's only 90 minutes on this tape. Actually, you know, it's really easy. How do you live with this disease? You don't. It's a terminal illness. It's 100% fatal. I know. Too crass. Too morbid for your Sunday magazine section. You know, after the comics and before Dear Adam. Dear Adam. Besides, my friends who picket and protest for research funding and education programs and a dinner with Liz Taylor, they get pissed off. One thing you can write about, tell them they put you in a room as warm and damp as a greenhouse. Especially now, during the summer. Unless it's another fever. No, it's the room, I'm sure. But put that in your article. Tell them they keep us in rooms as hot as ovens, like Auschwitz. Now there's an angle. I think I figured something out. They say it's all in my head, but I'm pretty sure they always give you a room in the south wing of the hospital, where the view is awful. No kidding. I don't think it's a coincidence. In fact, I have a theory. It's to let you down slowly, so you slowly quit hoping you'll get out. And if you do leave, when you come back, and you almost always do, you'll feel familiar as it becomes your home away from home. I know. I've been in and out of this place 3 times. Each time back in with a little less denial. Each time a room on this end facing south. There, I'm sure you could inject some symbolism into your piece with that. Oh, they wouldn't dare admit they're tucking us away. And don't anyone say the Q word. Quarantine. I know. I'm seeing concentration camp guards underneath the bed. Well, I hope they're cute. The nurses say they can attend to your needs better this way. They just don't want to admit to themselves, maybe, that it's filling up this hospital. Still, maybe they should put the other patients with normal terminal illnesses out here in South. I mean, the sun comes in every single morning, cloudy or not. Comes in through these gauzy curtains and forces you out of sleep. Wonderful sleep. It's even worse right now, with all of the extra hours of daylight. It doesn't get dark around here until long after what they call dinner. Perhaps they think that the more time you're awake, the more life you feel like you're living, not wasting it away, dreaming. What's it like with this disease? My real answer? Well, it's like watching a movie that you know has the last reel missing, or like taking the middle part, the color part, out of The Wizard of Oz. Nothing personal, Margaret Hamilton. What it is? It's coming and going from the south ends of hospitals. Musical diagnoses. In with your first frightening bout of pneumonia. Out, 30 pounds lighter. And I don't mean baby fat. Back in with skin cancer. Out with toxic waste in capsule form. In with a headache from your brain swelling. Out with only half your wits. Alzheimer's disease for the promiscuous. On and on, each time waiting for the music to end for good. Well, damn it, some of us would like to shoot the piano player. It does this to you. You start thinking about things in strange and unavoidably funny ways. Especially when you're in here now. Like my first visit. I know, I still call them visits. I didn't say I had no denial left. Anyway, that first visit, I went through my library of death phase. I read everything I could find on death and disease. Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich, Camus' The Plague, Susan Sontag's Illness as a Metaphor, or Metaphor as an Illness, as I like to call it. On and on, etc., etc., etc. I was obsessed. It was as if I were studying for some final on how to die. Oh, don't get me wrong. In my cram session, I didn't consume those books on reincarnation. I don't think I was looking for an escape. I just wanted to do it right. Then one day I heard myself ask the book cart lady if she could bring me a copy of Love Story. Love Story? That was it. Oh, and besides, I don't look a thing like Ally McGraw. You know, there's a reason they don't put mirrors in these rooms. My second visit? That was my mean phase. You know, the terrible twos? I became this sort of hospitalized terrorist. It was a game. Every time the nurses would come in the room, I would force myself to sneeze as loud as I could. Not covering my mouth or my nose. But it was more than impolite. You could see them jump. I used to get such a charge out of watching them try to plot the progress of this invisible cloud of virus, spreading through the room like radiation. I guess snot is also a bodily fluid. I know. Too mean. That was the early days. There weren't any pamphlets or classes. They were having as much trouble dealing with it as we were. Now, I guess I'm in my Judy Garland phase. I know. How stereotypical. I have everything. Music, movies on videotapes, books. God knows what the significance of it is. I guess sometimes you have to be past things to understand them. Now, the subject is resting on his bed, enjoying a glass of water with God knows what in it. Cheers. So you change. You step into a river several times, and it's never the same river. Oh, God. Too philosophical. Please promise me you won't use that. This room stays the same. It changes you. You almost get used to it. Then you get released. Until the next infection, you get this furlough, which I must admit feels kind of funny after the structured life of sloping charts and nervous but regular as clockwork nurses. Then you realize how much you've changed. First time, you swear you will never be back. And when your lungs start filling up, or the lesions start appearing, or you get dizzy from your brain swelling, well, damn it, you'll do anything to stay away from this room. I remember my first relapse. A slow panic creeping up like a train you can hear coming for miles, but you can't stop it. God, I was a fool then. I guess all of those books I just finished reading couldn't exorcise my Sunday school childhood because, well, I heard about this faith healer. No, not one of those television evangelist idiots. She was just this wrinkled up old colored woman. Lived alone in a tiny house with a dozen cats. If you can call that alone. She introduced each one to me by name, after the apostles of the Bible. Then she had me sit down on this lumpy sofa and she left the room. And when she returned, she was carrying this big family Bible, all dusty and faded. Oh God, it was gorgeous. On the inside leaf, it had all of the names of her relatives, from her great-grandparents to her grandchildren. She opened it and she read this verse aloud to me a couple of times, slowly. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. She had this deep, important voice. I can still hear it. Things hoped for. Things not seen. Then she spoke to me like I were a child, not condescending, just carefully. Honey, she said, faith ain't no pill. It's not a cure. She told me that she couldn't give it to me, that I had to find it for myself. I admired her honesty. After she brushed a cat off a cushion beside me, I think it was St. Matthew or John. She had us kneel down together, which was difficult for her, but she did it. And I remember as we pressed our elbows into the weak cushions of that ratty couch, I felt scared. I'm not sure why. But she prayed unlike anyone I'd ever heard in church as a kid. She told God what she wanted, what I needed, in simple terms, straight words. And she put her shaking arm around me. It had been a long time since I'd been touched, purposely touched. And I remember her hands were warm, like sunlight. Together we prayed. And for the longest time after that, my arms, they smelled like that couch. A sweet, lovely scent of age. Then she said an amen, and I said an amen too. And before I left, she read that Bible verse again, slowly, so I would remember it. And I did. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Yes. I did feel better. For a while, my breathing cleared, and I didn't notice the fevers as much. I wanted to shout. Of course. A month later, I was back in here, in a room on South, learning to sneeze at nurses. They put me next to this old guy who yelled at invisible people. The wall people, the nurses called them. Definitely things hoped for, things not seen. And in order to find out how the old guy was doing, they had to ask him how the wall people were feeling. If he had a headache, he'd scream, "Their goddamned heads hurt." He swore a lot. Print this. He threw 3 bedpans out of his window. Yes, full. God, I would have died to have seen the looks on the doctors' faces glaring at their Mercedes. I mean, what did they say? Oh, shit. Boy, I'll bet they were pissed. Oh, that old guy. I think his name was Walter. God, I admired his spirit. He was older. Must have been a transfusion. We all thought he was senile. Of course, that was in the days before they knew about the brain damage. And you know something? He died 3 days after they locked his window. Damn them. Damn them. Now, a couple of furloughs and next-door neighbors later, I have to put up with this kid across the hall. A couple of years younger than I am. His first visit. Oh, he's a screamer too, complaining about everything. I don't blame him. At least he still has the energy. You know, I'd like to hear his tape for the memories. I know that would be a breach of journalistic ethics. My ass. What about abandoning your interviewees? Yesterday, kid across the hall, he threw the poor Gideons out of his room when they tried to bring him a free Bible. He threw the little green vinyl-covered book at them and yelled, "You can't live on faith." Yeah. Well, maybe. I kept mine. I'm not sure why. Maybe just so I could underline that Bible verse for whomever gets this room after me. I keep it next to my autographed picture of Judy Garland. Once a queen, always a queen. I know, I won't read Love Story, but I'll still cling to this picture. I don't even know if it's her signature. I mean, it could be a fake. But I hope it's real. I believe.